This is Jarrell with Climb My Consciousness. Today is the World News Update for August. I will be doing the Global Conscious World News Update. Again, my name is Jarrell. For those things that are going on out there, for people who are paying attention, for people who understand what's going on and know that there's more things happening behind the scenes, and know that there is more than just this one level of storyline happening. There's multiple dialects. There's multiple understandings that are unfolding on the surface of things. So I like to bring that to you today here. I like to just say happy summer, happy August coming up, happy late summer, happy solstice, happy 4th of July, happy everything, alright? I love you guys and girls out there. Thank you for showing up and watching these videos and putting the attention in and the awareness in for our world, for our globe, for our collective evolution. It means a lot, and you should be very proud of yourself for looking into things and understanding things for yourself. Okay? So I hope everybody out there has been feeling good. I hope you guys have been enjoying your lives. I hope you've been doing fun things and getting into the sun and breathing deeply and enjoying the moments and living your Buddha nature, as I have, because that's what life is about. It's being in the moment, feeling good in your body, being true to who you are, and moving forward as who you are, as a divine orchestration of life being manifested here in the physical reality. So with that said, let's get started on the news. I would like to just go in on a couple things that have just been taking place here on planet Earth, because it's very important to understand that there's a lot of things happening under the surface level, and when they happen, it's things playing out. There's multiple levels at play here. Usually when you see big news stories drop, it's something that has been in the works for a while, if not a couple years to a couple decades, if not multiple decades. And it's just a development on a timeline that is leading us into ascension and moving us into the higher dimensions and into world peace and into oneness and unity. So that's where we're going. That's what these news updates are for. They are for you to realize that. They're for you to look at the world and feel with your heart and understand with your heart and understand that everything's going to be alright. Like, it's like chaotic out there and a lot of things happen, yet what's most important is for you to see for yourself and look with your heart and understand from there, firstly. Okay? So let's get into it. So one thing that recently just happened, Mamdani, the communist mayor of New York, he recently put out a statement calling for the arrest of the war criminal Netanyahu. Now, if you know Mamdani, if you follow this blog, if you follow any of my news updates, if you've seen anything that's been happening in the news about elections and how elections are so very important and how they are the crux of our reality now, because if the wrong people get in office, the wrong people rule the world. Like, that's how important it is. So if you've seen anything about Mamdani, especially from this channel, you know Mamdani is a person who had to fraud his way into elections. It's just like, does anybody find it peculiar, strange, or ironic? A mayor who's a communist who got in office illegally by fraud and has forced all of the revenue from New York that was literally funding the state out by forcing all of the high-income people to leave, because he's going to force those people to pay more than their share of what is fair, just because he was going to invoke so many policies that pissed so many people off. He forced these people to leave. And so if you know America, America is a free, sovereign, governed country. Each state governs their own towns and ordinances like it's almost like a business. And as business goes, people are free to do whatever they want. You can do business with whoever you want and wherever you want. Just like you can live in any town and pay taxes to whatever town you want. So if somebody gets elected that you don't like, that's going to make you pay more than what you want to pay, you're allowed to leave. Does anybody think Mamdani, who forced high-income tax revenue payers for the city of New York to leave because his policies were so bad, who had illegal immigrants bust into New York who didn't even live there to vote for him more than once, who had his name on the ballot listed more than once, and who suppressed his competition on the ballot, put them in the lower corner in small print. It says Mamdani, then it says somebody else, then it says Mamdani, then it says two other people very small. Does anybody feel like it's a little bit odd that he's now calling for the arrest of Netanyahu? So it feels odd because it is, because the entire Free Palestine thing was a psychological operation, which it wasn't an agenda. It was something that was literally so ordinated, made up, and generated and targeted to people to piss them off, to vilify Zionists exactly how they want them to be vilified, because that's what Zionists feed off of. They feed off pain, they feed off fear, they feed off disapproval, they feed off suffering, they feed off death. All right, Zionists are the people who literally used to have the most power in the world. All right, they're the secret space program, the Nazis from World War II that actually didn't lose World War II, came to a stalemate in World War II, and had to break off civilization, created a stronghold in Antarctica, and also left the Earth with anti-gravity technology and have a whole lot of dealings out of there with ETs, all types of different types of species in space, doing all types of trade for technology and all types of slave driving and all types of very illegal stuff out in space also. So Zionists are Nazis, and Nazis are still here from World War II. Okay, they're still here. All right, they're just masking themselves as Jewish. Okay, so the entire thing with Zionists it's like, oh, you hate us, you hate us, you hate us so much. Don't you hate us? Don't you want to do this? Don't you want to do that? Don't you want to get angry? Don't you want to cause all this chaos? Don't you want to get furious and start all these riots and start all this violence against your neighbors, against people in the street, against the cops, against your town? Don't you want to destroy your town because they're making you angry? They need to arrest Netanyahu. Netanyahu is a Zionist. It's reverse psychology. Okay? So this is something that's so dark and that is so reverse that it was very hard for me to speak about for a very long time. I've kind of just been leading up to this because it's like you have to understand the other areas before you go into something this dark. It's necessary. You have to understand who people are, where they come from. So, you're not just saying, oh, it's all love, it's all love. Love Netanyahu. Love how he does things. Love the hate. Like, you're never supposed to do that. You're always supposed to come as an educated individual, and you're supposed to read people's history and understand the history of groups of people, where they come from, what they've been through, and the situations that have played out on the planet Earth. So this is what's happened so far. Netanyahu has been this war criminal who's been going free, and he has to go free because he's just not prosecutable at this time. As I said before in previous videos, you can't prosecute this guy because he has too much power linked into this negative cabal system who run their break-off civilization through major companies like BlackRock, Boeing, pharmaceutical companies, Pfizer, also all the major mega billionaire organizations that literally think they run the earth. They have major ties, or basically are trying to still control the earth through Israel, and no longer through the United States. You know, the last stronghold they have is Israel, who had to be won over by the United States. Because if we're constantly hating Netanyahu, we're doing exactly what the Zionists want you to do. We're doing exactly what they want you to do. They want you to hate Netanyahu so badly because they get energy off of that. They get fear off of that. They get chaos. Chaos is generated from that. And that's how they function best. They function best in darkness. They function best when nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows who is who. Nobody knows what anybody's doing. And everybody's confused. And that's what Mamdani's trying to get you to do. Right? He's saying, arrest this guy, arrest the war criminal, arrest him. Don't you see what he did? Here's his face. You know, it's like, come on. We have to understand the patterns. We have to understand what is going on with events as they play out in the world. They play out to show us what's going on. Okay, it's a test. It's like a test of Jesus. You know, it's like there are going to be people who are very sick, who are very dark and negative, borderline evil, who do things, and then you still have to look at them as they are your brother. You know, so it's like it's also a test of a true yogi. One thing that I've learned studying from yogis who are in ashrams, they say you have to be fine with somebody who has killed 1 million people, and then they walk, you know, they walk into the grocery store where you're at, and you say, oh hey neighbor, hey brother, hey citizen, hey, and you can't hate them, because when hate is generated, hate thrives, and hate feeds on hate, if you know what that is. So that's what they want. They want you to hate people. So when you hate people, guess what? They get power off their negative energy grid that's going from dark place to dark place to dark place, in a dark net. You know, they're feeding off that, and then they're trying to get you to do more of it. Okay, so this entire whole Free Palestine thing, Free Palestine, whole time it was a Zionist getting you to vilify Zionists so they can feed off all the Free Palestine energy. Get him, kill him, do this, do that. Did you see what he did? Do it. All of it, all of it. Just like the Black Lives Matter rallies, just like the No Kings rallies. All the stuff. It's just like the same thing. It's the same thing. Guys, please wake up. Please wake up. Alright, so it's something you have to look at. It really is something, because I come to you with these videos, with these discussions for a purpose, for a reason. We have to speed it up. We have to look at what's going on so we can understand what is happening, so we can share intelligence with each other, so when it happens, we don't all fall into the same breadbasket, and we're not all getting fed off of by Zionists. Alright? By negative individuals who are just going to try to cook up ways to try to kill us at the end of the day. We're thinking we're out doing something good. It's like, it's the same thing that happened with Black Lives Matter, same thing that happened with all of it. No kings. You get the motion, like you get the pattern. It's not good to blindly go out and protest. This is what I was saying when this entire Free Palestine thing blew up. Anytime you see something blow up and everybody's saying the same thing like that, there's an agenda involved. There's an agenda. Okay, so think about that. When you see somebody like Mamdani, a guy who lied, stole, and frauded his way into office, clearly in the light of day, in front of everybody, suppressed his competition, is now calling for the arrest of a Zionist. Think about it. You know, just think about it and think like, what does Mamdani have to gain from this? Who is he talking about? What does the person who he's talking about have to gain from it? What is the history of both of these people? And what is also happening of the opposition to that? The first thing, like immediately once this little guy, Mamdani, posted this ad or whatever, saying, oh, arrest this guy. Trump is like, no, we have to treat this guy normally. We can't vilify him and treat him like a parasite. Even though he's been doing parasite things, even though he's been killing a lot of people, yeah, this is the way it works. This is unfortunately the way it works in reality. This is actually how reality is supposed to work. You know, when somebody's sick, treat them nicely until you can get them help. That's literally the fifth dimension. That's literally it. Unfortunately, we don't have this cause. Like if you or me were to go outside and kill 1 million people, we'd be in prison for the rest of our lives. Yet, because these people are running the world, it's differently. It's different. You know, it's kind of like you've made it up a couple levels. You're playing on a fourth dimensional level now, and you almost get to do whatever you want. You know, so when things like that take place, when one of these people do these things, other people who are also on this fourth dimensional level have to deal with other fourth dimensional people as interacting on this dimensional plane where it's like, okay, whatever I do, the fate of the world is involved. And whatever this guy does, the fate of the world is involved. So we better play like we're sovereign beings with a lot to love and care about, because if we don't, everything falls apart. Everything. Okay? So this is why this guy, we had to befriend this guy, Netanyahu, and watch this guy smile on our face after he, did unspeakable things. It's because of the power of love. It's because of the power of Jesus, the power of Christ consciousness, the power of the incredible unity, oneness, and compassion of God. And, it's an example of that. It's actually an example of that. Okay? When Jesus was killed, you didn't see him, smiting people, fucking, just just going ham and destroying everybody like he could. He could have one-shot anybody. He didn't have to lift a finger. No, he let it happen, but that was his personal choice for himself. If you ever ask him, that was his personal choice. He chose to do that for himself. Not that most people would, but he knew how important it was to not do anything, because once he did something, he's out of alignment. He was out of alignment, and he wasn't who he had been up until that point. So that's like, that wasn't what he taught anybody. So it's like if he were to do that, it's like, it would had lowered his integrity. Okay, so this entire thing is all about integrity, guys. Everything. Know who you are. Know your limits. Know other people's strengths and limits, and look at reality with a clear heart, and understand that there's things that happen that are playing out that you don't understand immediately, yet you'll eventually understand. And it's good to just take something when it happens, be like, I wonder what that means, and just file it away, and then lo and behold, something else happened, and then you're like, oh, it comes up now I can understand what was actually taking place. So another thing that happened recently was the mainstream media refusing to cover a speech about election fraud and election interference. That was something that is very peculiar, very strange, and very ironic. Because if you know the media, they like to report on selective things. They have a very selective program for what they intend to show people based off of their view of things, or what they think should be actually paid attention to. So if ABC, NBC, CNN, all of them, the criminal news network, what I like to call CNN, because they're criminals, they literally will lie and tell you things that are not true based off elections, based off of who is in the lead, based off of how many votes there are, based off of who is the favorite. It's completely biased 100% to who their donors are. It's always been that way. It always has been that way, and can continue to be that way until at least CNN, ABC, NBC, MSNBC are taken down for fraud. So this is just another one of those things where the President of the United States talks about election integrity and then you don't cover it. That's highly illegal. That's borderline treasonous, if not actually treasonous, and is very break off civilization like. So if you don't want election integrity or a safe and fair election, then odds are you have a part in making an election not integrable, not fair, and you have brought the fraud into an election. So when you see these media outlets say things like, oh, we're not going to cover it. Oh, no, we're not covering it. It's because they had a hand in it, obviously. If you were paying attention back in 2020 when Joe Biden allegedly won, there is all types of fraud everywhere. If you're following the race, Joe Biden, he couldn't even fill a school cafeteria full of people. And they want people to believe that this guy with dementia, who had to lie his way through the office for 4 years, literally had the media lie about his state of health for 4 years, only to find that, oh, he's actually not fit to be president at the very end of the campaign. They want people to believe that this guy was capable of winning an election when there is files and files and files and data and posts and videos of people pulling stuffed ballots out of briefcases, pulling stuffed ballots from under desks, pulling stuffed ballots from out of cars and stuffing them in mailboxes, files being dumped into mailboxes full of stuffed ballots, people on voter rolls that shouldn't be there, like dead people, like duplicate people, like people who don't exist, like people who have not been in the state in a long time, people who are not even American citizens. All these things, all of these criteria ends up for votes for Joe Biden. And if you're watching the election race back in 2020 when CNN was counting the votes, they literally took 70 million votes and just, oh, all of a sudden now, 3 a.m., 70 million votes, Joe Biden is up by a landslide. It's like, where do these votes come from? And then if you take a look at the trajectory of how many registered voters there are for Democrats, there's not even that many voters that have been voting in the elections at all during the past couple decades. It just went, this is the graph of how many, and then all of a sudden 2020, it's like, Joe Biden is up here, he's crushing records with dementia. It's like, not on your life, not on anybody's life. This is a sick, demented, pedophile, ridiculous guy was fit to even be able to be anywhere near the White House. Yeah, here they are just pushing this guy on people and saying, oh, he was the president, oh, he was it. But at the end of the 4 years, oh, he actually wasn't fit to run. We lied. Oh, well, now we're not going to cover the speech on election integrity. It's just like, it's nuts. It's actually nuts. So the thing to take away from this is that the current administration is making new laws of how voting mail ballots, voting by mail, is not going to be legal unless you have health problems and you can't get to the poll or you're active military. So it's really that simple. So in order for those voting mail criteria to even be active, every state has to share their voter rolls, their voter like census. It's like a list of all the active voters, and so they can be vetted, so the election can be fair. And lo and behold, what you have are very dramatically resistant and deterred blue states, liberal states, who refuse to share their voter rolls. They refuse to share their voter rolls. Like, why would you refuse to share who is registered in your state to vote in an election. That is the most largest telltale sale of fraud you can possibly have. So, that's where they're coming from here. That's the media. The media is very dramatically a blue organization, a liberal organization, a cabal and Illuminati organization that literally just want to destroy the planet. They want to destroy everything that everybody stands for. That's why they continually lie. That's why they push things like COVID. That's why they push things like fake election integrity. They literally want this country to turn into a hell because that's what they believe in. They believe in hell. They're Satanists. Okay? So that's what the mainstream media is coming from when they refuse to cover a speech about election fraud. They say, "Oh, he's just mad he lost." Like, no, there's a lot of very tangible evidence of fraud and cheating and manipulation and lying about all of that. And the only reason why that election did not get recounted was because of Mike Pence. Mike Pence he literally at the very last second, where it's like, okay, we have the votes, we have the evidence, it's obvious this needs to be recounted because it wasn't counted right, because the votes were completely off, and in proportion from the years prior, the vice president who was in office has to also sign off on it. Who is Satanist Mike Pence? And what does the Satanist guy do? He votes down on it and says, "Oh no, we're letting the next Satanist into office." So that's what happened. After that, of course, this fake president gets in office, and then he does whatever he thinks he's doing. He mumbles his way through the office. He falls asleep at the podium. He shits his pants on the way out the door, and he falls up the steps, up to Air Force One, down to Air Force One, and you find out he's a pedophile that touches kids in the Oval Office, in the White House, on camera, and then you find out he's got dementia, and he's not even completely at all capable of running anything, and then he's finally relieved of office, and then you never see him again. I can't remember the last time I've seen this guy. He's like destroyed, so he's like in such bad shape, and everybody who's like near him is in such bad shape. He sold everybody out so bad. His daughter wrote in her journal about how he raped her at a young age, and she's like, everything is such a terrible story about this guy's life, and you never see him again. Yet people were like, "Oh, Trump, he's the worst." No, have you guys even looked at anything about this guy who we were forced to look at for 4 years? Like, have you looked into anything? So, just look into stuff, look at what's happening, because, currently, this type of administration is literally the last stand on earth. This is the last chance we have anywhere. Like, if this administration doesn't work, we're screwed. Like, we're actually screwed. Everybody's screwed. If you want crazy rainbow stuff going from coast to coast, from one continent to the other, talking about, oh, get your kids mutilated, get your kids into this, it's okay for kids to be doing this. And it's just like, nobody ever wanted that at all. It's like, it's crazy. It's like, they're Satanists, they believe in anything. It's like, oh, do what you want. It's like, no, you can't just do what you want and love anything. Like, grooming kids for satanic fake ritual, fake black rainbow stuff doesn't help anybody. It's weird. Cut it out. Like, nobody wants to be a part of that. So these are the things that are important to look into, because it almost happened. It almost it was because it was taking place, and it was people were attempting to actually do this sick stuff, this sick and crazy stuff, in front of everybody, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, we got to accept it. If we don't accept it, we'll be canceled. We'll be fired from our job." God bless those kids who have to grow up through all this craziness and wackiness, and they just want to be themselves, and they don't want any confused adults trying to push any type of grooming onto them. Yet enough is enough. Enough is enough. This entire thing is about kids. It's about people understanding that Joe Biden was in office, he stole 300,000 kids through the borders as they were illegally crossing into the United States. He was using that as a human trafficking source of human energy. And he was just taking these kids and just throwing them to billionaires, throwing them to crazy corporate heads and sick people in sex dungeons to just fucking just mutilate and torture these kids. Just he stole 300,000 of these kids. It's really like difficult to talk about, especially when nobody can even understand how big of a situation this is, and they all hate the president who's stepping in to stop it. So it's like, I don't know, if you still hate Trump, you have a lot to look at about yourself. You really do, because nobody's perfect at all. So if you can't see the good in something like somebody like this has done, you really need to look at yourself and get out of your head, look with your heart, and feel, and make a decision from there. Okay, so the biggest news that's happened recently was the earthquake in Venezuela. It was a rocker. It was a terrible thing. And these are the same things that have been happening every couple months. Usually like once a year there's a massive earthquake. And ironically, the most impoverished areas in the world. And when that happens, there's always a high death toll. These death tolls are orchestrated and are targeted for these areas. They want people to die. They want people to be caught in buildings and die, unfortunately. The cabal, the Illuminati, the fake elites, the negative orchestrators of a fake timeline, they have earthquake generators that they've implemented in the Earth's crust to agitate the Earth's crust, to shift the place, to create artificial tremors. And they can generate these tremors to any area that they have targeted. So they target the impoverished areas, and then they start, agitating and destroying parts of the Earth to create negativity. You might be asking, why would they do this? Why would they want people to die? It's because this negative cult, this death cult, this negative group of individuals serve a negative force, which is like a parasite that has encrusted its way into the Earth and has a kind of like a chokehold into the Earth. It's been feeding off the Earth. And so when they do silly stuff like this and they generate earthquakes intentionally for people to die, they are giving this parasite energy. And when they give this thing energy, they get a kickback. They get life energy for their lives wherever they think they're going. So that's the best I can explain it. That's the best anybody's going to be able to tell you. Nobody's going to be able to show you any of this. You have to know. This is a starseed thing. This is an Ascension and Awakening blog. I'm trying to keep it as real as possible as I can with you. That's what's happening. So when you see, oh, it's another earthquake, oh, it's another tsunami, oh, it's another massive hurricane, and these are all focused on areas to where there's little to no infrastructure, to where there's a huge, densely populated area of people, to where the country is a third world country and they wouldn't be able to help themselves. It's an agenda. It's a target. It's something that was orchestrated to be there, so the death toll will be high, unfortunately. So the reason why it's so these things happen and they're so intense is because liberation is on the way. Liberation is at hand. your higher selves, your angels, your spirit guides, your guardians are working very hard, diligently, around the clock to get this world liberated. And many worlds have been liberated recently within the past couple decades. You have the entire Milky Way galaxy, and then you have our local star cluster inside the Milky Way galaxy on like the outer arm, and then you have Earth. Within that structure of star clusters where Earth is, there's been many worlds that have been liberated from this same dimensional parasite. And from what my angelic intelligence tells me, is that Earth is the very last planet to be liberated. So that's why it's like, oh, it's death toll after death toll after death toll. It's negative thing after negative thing. It's because death tolls are a source of energy for this parasite that has like a death grip, like clawing into the Earth and the people, trying to get as much out of it before it gets eradicated. And we all know there's nothing that this thing can do. We're moving into the center of the galaxy. After the new age of Aquarius hit at the start of 2012, it's over. There's nothing that a parasite can do to survive in galactic sunlight. They're like from the center of the galaxy. It's going to fry up and be dissolved. It's going to have to eventually unclench itself and go somewhere else. That's what's going to happen. Okay? So there's really nothing to fear. There's nothing to be concerned about or worried about. This is something that is unfortunately seen a lot during times like this when a planet has to be liberated. There are a lot of casualties, especially if a planet is the last one in the group that has not yet been liberated. It's like the last stand of fake individuals who think they run a world, who think they know what they're doing, because they don't. We all know they don't. Just look at the society structure. They don't know what they're doing. So their days are numbered. Things are going to take place, and things are happening on a rapid level to where they're constantly trying to catch up and do these things. Oh wait, let me just get some more energy over here. Let's get some energy here. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do COVID. Let's spoil the elections. Let's lie about this and say this is that. Let's say the world is flat. Let's say space is fake. Let's say we never went to the moon. It's just like, all this stuff. It's just like they're all psychological operations for you to think that there's nothing outside this fake little society to where it's like, oh, you're in the matrix. This is your job. This is you. This is what you want, and this is what you get. Just do it. And remember, you can only do what anybody else is doing. So it's like, and it's like, what else is everybody doing? They're all looking at everybody else. And nobody breaks the boundaries. Nobody sees what's actually happening. Nobody actually lifts the veil and takes a look on the other side. It's like, hey, this is not right. People shouldn't be treated like this. We don't deserve to be treated like this. We're galactic sovereign citizens. We're ready to join the rest of the galaxy and understand who we truly are, why we're here, what is actually happening on the globe, and accomplish what we actually set to accomplish when we decide to incarnate here in this physical reality. So that's what you have to remember. You have to remember what you're here to do, who you are, and why you came. It's important. So these news stories don't throw you off. Just like they want you to be thrown off, and they want you to think that, oh, the world is terrible. Oh, there's no hope. Oh, there's no good in the world. Oh, I can't take it. I can't do it anymore. I can't do this. I can't do that. That's what they want you to do. They want you to look at these things and feel negativity. They don't want you to look at it and actually know what's going on, because when you know what's going on, you're able to do something about it. You're actually able to clean the stuff up. You're actually able to clear your house. You're actually able to clear your surroundings, clear the houses around you, clear your town, clear anywhere you go, clear people, and it's like, you're able to help people out and do a lot of things that you wouldn't be able to do if you didn't know what was going on. So just keep that in mind, right? Okay? Because I love you. And this is it. This is Ascension, guys. This is what it's about. It's about staying in your heart, looking at what's happening, and deducting from that, you know? Deducting the correct action from that. Okay, so the next thing that happened recently was a big story was Senator Luna, or Congresswoman Luna, Miss Luna, she started to declassify the MK Ultra documents, which is huge. That was huge because the government from the United States has a long time been silent and have been completely in denial about MK Ultra. Now, what is MK Ultra? It's a MyLab experiment that was started to hypnotize people, to control people, to damage people, and to basically make people do what they want them to do in a state to where they don't know anything about themselves anymore. You know, it's kind of like what's happening in the new Spider-Man. Spider-Man, whatever it's called. Spider-Man, No Way This, No Way Out, it's called. Oh, Spider-Man doesn't remember who he is. It's MK Ultra. Alright, that's basically, it's like all types of programming that goes on in this place to where the government is like, we're not doing it, but are we doing it? You know, it's like this crazy type of Mad Hatter type of situation. It's just like, you don't know that they're doing it unless you know the frequency of what it is. So you have to take from what you know, look at what's happening, and say, this kind of looks like MK Ultra. I wonder why it looks like MK Ultra. What is making me think it looks like MK Ultra? It's probably the frequency I'm getting from what MK Ultra is, because that's it. So when you see new movies, new TV shows, new programming, news stories, basically almost anything in this place, and it gives you a weird feeling like, that's weird, why would they release something like that? That's very damaging, especially to kids. You don't want to see the superhero you grew up damaged, saying, oh, I don't know anything, and his eyes go black. You don't want, that's not entertainment. That's not entertainment at all. So Congresswoman Luna, she started to declassify MK Ultra, and she started to reveal all these things about government, my labs, the experiments, the documents, all about how they commissioned all these experiments and did all these things with drugs and with hallucinatory scientific laboratory experiments, and all these things just for the entire public to look at. And it's very helpful to look at those things and understand what it is, because they're still doing it, guys. They're still doing these mind control experiments, except they do it in plain view. The new Spider-Man movie that came out, the news stories, the commercials, the Netflix programming, TV shows, they will literally use any type of programming to put MK Ultra frequency through it. And the way, especially tech devices, that's a huge thing, tech devices. So the way this works, the way MK Ultra works, is that besides they commissioned this stuff, they started in like the 1940s, you know, when they stole all the scientists out of the United States and sent them to space and to secret underground and secret closed-door military industrial complex secret program and space programs. They started putting MK Ultra into a lot of things, like the TV. That's the biggest MK Ultra thing you can have. You know, when you start waking up and you start actually utilizing your third eye, you realize when you look at the TV, the veil starts to come back. It starts to try to fold back around your eyes. Why? Because they generated that type of device in the 1940s. The patent for TV is called a hypnosis machine. Like, go look it up. That's what it's called. That's literally what it's called, a hypnosis device. You know, because it's just like, you know, yet not to get too cynical and not to get too negative. You have to watch out for the type of things that you're using. You have to watch out for the type of functions that your technology secretly has, because this technology is not running on a frequency that's harmonic to the human mind energy body field. It is running to a frequency that is opposed to that, that is disharmonic. Instead of 442, it runs on 440 hertz. 440 hertz is not friendly, it's not good, it's not going to help you long term. So that's the way that they designed it. So they have all types of secret functions and secret abilities and secret doings that these little tech devices are doing. You know, it's like the most basic thing is your phone's camera, right? If you don't cover your phone's camera up with one of these little sticky boys here, one of these little sticky things here, they're going to be recording you 24/7, and the camera is linked into an etheric computer program to where when you're scrolling on it, it's viewing you and it's mapping your eye movement. So when you're scrolling, it's looking at your eye movement, reading your thoughts, and then it's also tracking the history of what you're looking at. So it's like it's trying to map your reality. It's trying to map it's trying to map everything about you. It's trying to map and utilize anything it can about you to control you and to keep you controlled. And it's also tapping into any dimensional attachments that are, you know, that happen to be anywhere around you, that are attached to your brain, and is reading your thoughts through those dimensional attachments. That's the longest extent to what MK Ultra does. So just watch out. Watch out for how you're using your device, how far away you keep your phone when you're using it, how far away you keep your phone from when you're sleeping. Keep your phone away from you as far as you possibly can when you're not using it, okay? Because we all have to use these things, yet there's a lot of stuff going on that they're never going to tell you about that go through those things. So it's better you learn from me than you learn the hard way, like I had to. You know, it's like you want to know this stuff for yourself, and you want to be aware of things that are placed into things that are supposed to help you, so you can use them as they intended instead of it having to take advantage of you and having it blast some type of fake energy through you that you never signed up to use when you just had to use it, when you had to just buy a phone. Nobody wants any of that. So another way MK Ultra is used is by automatic selection through every program you could possibly think of. You know, besides Alexa, Copilot, and Cortana, and whoever and whatever else fake AI intelligence out there is listening to your every word, trying to sell you things. The way they do MK Ultra through TV is like, say you're on YouTube, you're watching a video. The video is about growing tomatoes, right? It's like, hey, I'm growing tomatoes in my backyard garden, right? And the video ends. Like a split second after the video ends, an ad comes on for ketchup, and you're just like thinking like, is this a what is this? You're like, oh no, it's just a coincidence. So after the ad comes on, you're watching the ad. There's a family sitting at a table, and they're talking about, oh, sports. Oh yeah, we just came in from sports and we love to have our ketchup. So they're just putting ketchup on their food. And then after that ad ends, now multiple ads play off each other. Another ad comes up, and it's about Dr. Scholl's feet soles for athletes. You know, as you can tell, there's a connection between those ads. That's what they do. They do hypnosis, automatic selection, to keep you in a ringer. The Matrix is holding you in a holding pattern, and it's trying to feed off of you to keep you there as long as it possibly can. So just don't allow it. Don't buy into the programming. Don't buy into the automatic selection. Don't buy into the hypnosis, because that's what, unfortunately, this secret government does now. All right. Fortunately, if we didn't have the government we have now, like a President Trump, there would be no classification, no declassification at all about anything about any my labs about MK Ultra, about JFK shootings, about Martin Luther King shooting. Nothing. Nothing. We wouldn't have anything. Nothing about ETs. Nothing. Alright, we'd be seeing pedophiles walking around on TV, and we'd be seeing a whole bunch of just crazy clown fake rainbow garbage being pumped into the school system, telling kids it's okay to get gender surgeries. A whole bunch of just ridiculous, unreasonable stuff that's completely irrational that nobody asked for. So I'm very thankful I'm able to even make this video to talk about there being an MK Ultra declassification, because if there was no President Trump, none of the stuff would even be looked at. Like, only Starseeds know about MK Ultra. Nobody else knows. Everybody else will get the vaccine. If there's another vaccine happening, there'll be another vaccinated push, because there was no President Trump to stop another COVID. He stopped it. He almost single-handedly stopped it when they tried to push it on everybody at the end of his first term. So it's just something to understand. Like, it's just something to really just look at, because we have a choice to see what's happening and to blame everybody, to blame Trump, to blame the world, to blame government, to blame society, or we can take a look at it, understand what's going on, and stop being into it. The more people who stop being into it, the more awareness generates of people who are in the positions to get into office, to place a actual stop on these things. Like Congresswoman Luna, she's literally saying, hey guys, MK Ultra isn't good. Stop doing this to the programs that we're giving our children. Stop doing this to the tech devices. Stop doing this to the movies. Stop doing this in the news. Stop doing this in billboard advertising. Stop doing this anywhere you can, because this is critical to look at, because it's not healthy for a society. You can't have a society full of strong, naturally born, healthy people who have balance and mental fortitude and strength of their bodies, minds, and hearts, with secret underground MyLab, MK Ultra hypnosis programs constantly running through the etheric environment. You know, it's like, you know, you think, like, take a look at America, how crazy America is, especially for women. You know, it took a long time for me to realize that the United States is not a very safe place for women at all. And I was completely oblivious, because I'm a guy. You know, I'm a man. I don't have to worry about anything that women have to worry about at all. It's just, you know, it's just like a lot of places in the United States, women don't go out. They just don't, because they can't, because they'll get harassed. Why? Because of MK Ultra. MK Ultra. It's just like people are running around crazy, doing anything off of this sick energy that's going through people. So if you take a look at the United States society, and it's just like, okay, why is everybody sitting around on their phones just isolated in their own compartment, not talking to each other? And you go to a place like India, to where it's like everybody's talking to one another, nobody's like shut down. It's like not a place to where people have strange danger, as they say in Australia. You know, it's like everybody gets along with each other, everybody's comfortable with each other, because there isn't too much craziness going through the airwaves. You know, same thing in some places in the Eastern realm, like Thailand, like Japan, some places in South America. So it's like, you know, it's like, and you look at America, it's like, or you look at especially places in Europe or Australia, you know, not to, you know, blame anybody or single anybody out. Yeah, like, it's like places in the world, especially in England, rape is at an all-time high. It's like I saw the statistic on women that have been raped in England alone, and it's just like, it's like 5 times higher than anywhere else in the world. So it's like I wonder why. You know, it's because of the MK Ultra. It's because of the hypnosis frequency and the sick frequency that's being pushed through the programming, through the tech devices, through anything it can that goes from person to person to person, and then these things, you know, they take place, and it's just like, you know, a literal. It becomes partially like a hell for some demographic of people. You know, God bless the women out there. You know, you ladies are strong to be able to live in places like that and still have to keep up with your responsibilities every day. So I love you out there, and I make this video to show you the contrast and the spectrum of what's actually happening when major news stories are released, because it's important. It's important for you to understand what this means for the entire world. If MK Ultra can be declassified, that's one more step towards more awareness coming for more people to step up to do more about MK Ultra and these My Labs and these secret organizations that take advantage of people because they studied a little bit of science. It's like, oh, we take these little frequencies and we move them in a specific way on this frequency, it'll mess with their brainwaves, and then it'll have them doing all types of stuff that we think that they should do. And it's just like, it's so weird and so fucked up, it's so sick, it's just not even funny. It's not anymore. So I'm happy to, you know, show you guys this type of development because it's very important. So take a look at the news stories like that, because it was a huge thing that happened. It was huge. It was a huge thing that happened. It was very good that somebody has been talking about it and actually showed proof, because there's been no proof that's been openly and widely shared about this at all. That's one of the first things you learn when you start to awaken is MK Ultra, secret space program, the bases on the moon, bases on Mars, you know, technology, frequencies, all this stuff. And it's just like, you know, I've been awakening since 2013. You know, so this is my 13th year on my awakening here, and it's just like, this is the first time I've ever seen MK Ultra even talked about, like on ABC, NBC, CNN, you know, all the stupid news. So all the worldwide news that people only listen to because they've been so trained to listen to, which is another MK Ultra thing. It's just like, oh, if CNN said it, then it must be true. Like, no, if CNN says it, then usually it's not true, unless they've been forced to report on it. So, okay, so another thing that happened is the conflict with Iran. This is my third time I'm talking about this, because it just continues to take a turn, and take another turn, and take another turn. So this time, another turn has happened, and Iran has now fled. The new or newest supreme leader that Iran has now put into power has now fled Iran, because so much negativity has been shown in response to the United States trying to work with Iran for peace. It has just not been good. As I said in my last video, that there's no way you can deal with Iran like in a peaceful way. They worship death. They worship pain. Their religion is literally do harm to yourself. So that's what they're always going to do, no matter what. You can talk and say, hey, we want peace, we want to do this, we want to get along, so we'll give you this if you give us that. They're going to say, okay. But then they're going to come back and then they're going to do the opposite of what they said, because they don't believe in peace. They don't believe in positivity. They believe in pain and death and, you know, all types of terrible things. So when these things break in the news, these breaking stories, oh, the United States has been attacking Iran for the past 9 days, it's because Iran is a former PowerPoint of the Bush CIA that has been used to overthrow governments, that was overthrown by the Bush CIA about 47 years ago, when Iran used to be a sovereign country, when it used to have actual Western values and Arabic values, to where they were citizens of their own heritage. They had a lot of ancient sites over there, sacred sites, and they had a lot of culture to where they had their own media, their own education system, their own infrastructure for society to build up and generate that in culture wealth for them to be a unique individual in the world, until the Bush CIA started to interfere and they started to overthrow the country and make it a war-torn third world country and a hell zone for women. So it's like, you have to understand that. You have to understand that Iran is not the country that they're saying that they are. They're not Iran. They're a fake organization who was paid by the Bush administration to be there and to be in control of something that they do not own. They are not the rightful owners of that area. All 92 million people there, they're in a hostage situation. You know, they showed up and they start to write on the flag and say, hey, this is now the flag. And they wrote in a foreign language which nobody used in Iran until the people who claimed they run the country got there until now. So it's important to know because that's very important. So the United States have been destroying Iran, destroying every military base that they possibly can, and they've been doing this constantly for the past 9 days. And because Iran was like the wild card for the Bush administration, they were the most vulnerable people to be able to control because of the area of the world that they're in. You know, a couple thousand years ago, there was a nuclear fallout that was already there. It was already there. And there was a lot of terrible energy that is residual after a nuclear fallout, especially when it's as big as what happened. A traditional narrative of this would be Sodom and Gomorrah, as they say in the Bible. You know, the Bible is a lot of just metaphors and hyperbole for what actually happened, which was the Annunaki got too arrogant and then they blew themselves up. So when that happened, there is a lot of dense negative parasitic frequency that is still there in residual over the past couple thousand years. So if Iran were to get another nuclear weapon, that wouldn't be good because it's like the same thing happening all over again. You know, it's like Atlantis happening all over again. We don't want it to happen again. All right. So when Trump says we don't need Iran having a nuclear weapon, they can't have a nuclear weapon. There's logic behind that. There's words behind that. There's sense behind that, and there's a reality behind it because the alliance, who is in control of the current government, knows what they're doing. There's an angelic intelligence literally controlling the United States government right now. It's not this Satanist black society, fake organization, cabal, Illuminati bullshit that has been controlling the government. Now there's positive people controlling the government, all right? Okay? Trump's not perfect, but he's positive, all right? I'm telling you guys have to believe me. You have to believe me. So, you know, if you don't, you're eventually going to find out for yourself. So just take it. Just take my word for it. Also think for yourself. I don't want you to blindly believe everything. But that's what's happening, okay? The Middle East cannot have a nuclear weapon because there's a nuclear fallout a few thousand years ago when the Annunaki blew up that area and just literally created a massive virus. And we don't want that virus to start generating again with that same type of stuff. So it's like, it's not good for any type of nuclear program to be involved, especially with people who don't respect themselves, who think pain is reality, who worship pain, who worship death, who only want to do harm to themselves, who hate women, who murder kids, who murder their own families, who murder their own people. Nothing like that has to be anywhere near a global reality. Nothing like that has to be anywhere near the rest of the world. So that's why I explained that in the last video, one of the last videos, second to last video. So I'm explaining it again because it's very important. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and that's it. So the most recent thing that's been happening are the fires coming in from Canada. If you know the Canada leadership, Mark Carney or whoever, whatever his name is, this guy is a leftist. This guy doesn't respect Canada. He doesn't respect his own country. He doesn't respect the people in the country. And mostly he cares about himself and only doing the will of somebody else that has no national interest in the interest of the people who he's supposed to be serving. So I think of Mark Carney like a Canadian version of Gavin Newsom. So right now in Canada, there's just fires that are just wildly burning. They're just burning. It's massive fires. They're just burning. Nobody can stop it. Oh my goodness. Look at these fires burn. They're just so uncontrollable. First off, fires are always controllable, especially if you have an airplane. Especially if you have an ocean that has water that can be carried on an airplane. It's very, very easy to take out a fire when you understand the way physics work. Water can extinguish a fire. So same thing that happened in California. You have the Canadian Gavin Newsom trying to burn his entire country down for profit, for something that he sees as a benefit somewhere in the future of his fake timeline. It's just not gonna happen, guys. It's not. Like, he can burn buildings, he can burn infrastructure, he can burn woods and forests. Yet eventually people are gonna understand what these people are on to, because it's obvious what they're doing. When you see the frequency of what these people have been doing in the past, it's very easy. It's like, oh yeah, this is Gavin Newsom. This is what he did. He paid homeless people to set California on fire, and he was caught on camera, and he was lying about it on camera, and now everybody knows what he did. You know, except he's so fraudulent that every election that he's ever run, he's cheated in, so he's gotten into office. So it's like the same thing with Mark Carney. Like farmers and truckers and grassroots people in Canada do not respect Mark Carney. They don't like him. He's literally like this weird fake rainbow liberal guy who thinks he has influence and he has the best interests of people and he represents what people want. Nobody wants their forests to burn uncontrollably in their own country, to the point where the smoke is wafting over into your neighboring countries, and it's hitting places like New York, Philadelphia, Maine, all these places. Just like something is not right. This stuff never happened before. Massive fires just don't burn and burn and burn. It's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna, and then his answer to this is, oh yeah, we're just gonna let it burn. We're just gonna let it burn. We're just gonna let it burn. Nobody owns it. We're just gonna let it burn. It's like, why? First off, you own it. It's your country. Second off, you're losing a lot of natural resources besides like the actual environment for what you care about is the money that seems to be the only thing you care about. You're losing the actual. You're losing everything. You're losing the forests are everything. You're losing the air. The trees provide oxygen. Like it's a give and take. You learn that in elementary school. You're supposed to have trees because humans breathe out carbon dioxide. Trees release oxygen, and we need oxygen, and that's how we live. That's how we survive. We have to breathe air. So this is just another agenda from these global controllers who are puppeting these negative, fake governors and rulers of countries that they think that they represent. It has to do with the air. The air is a big card. It's a big PowerPoint. It's a big manipulation that the cabal or the Illuminati wants to try to take away from people. This is the whole thing with COVID. It's like, oh, don't breathe the air. It's time to mask up. You know, when you see news stories on, you know, anywhere, everywhere, saying, oh, the air is poison, time to mask up. First off, when has smoke ever become poison? Smoke is just smoke. You ever had a campfire? Like, that's fun. You ever breathe air when there's like still some smoke around, and then see that it's you know, it's actually like clear and healthy to breathe. The air is not poison. Smoke is not poison. So it's like, you know, it's like then like once these silly little fires happen, they want you to think, oh, all the air is unbreathable now because we put in our fake dialogue with our fake God, so we can try to control you. No, like, no, because we started the fires. Like no, it's not gonna happen. It's ridiculous. It's actually hilarious and it's a joke. So when you see stuff like this on the news talking about, Oh, the fires, it's time to put on a mask. Anybody, anywhere, ever told you to put on a mask ever again, question what they are, question what they're doing here, question what they know, question what they represent, question if they know themselves, question if they know anybody around them, question if they know anything at all. Because anybody saying that is a talking mouthpiece that is of only benefit to negative individuals who want to control the world and kill everybody. And that's it. That's the way it is. So these fires are nothing to worry about. The fires will eventually be put out. Either the United States are going to put it out, or Canada will put it out. Somebody are going to put them out, or something will happen. And fire smoke is not poison, so don't get too worked up about that. Because smoke is not that bad. Unless you're in a house fire and the flames are right next to you and the entire room is on fire, then you have a problem. Because you can't breathe smoke. But they want to try and make it like it's that. Like, no, it's like you're outside already. You have an entire environment. If anything, it's haze, and it smells like a campfire. I guarantee you. So don't take these news stories too seriously, because they're trying to invoke fear, so you buy into it. So you put on a mask and you do whatever they tell you to do through the MK Ultra programming that they have set up for you. All right. So remember this, because I love you. So that's what I want to say. I think I went through like four stories, 4 news stories. I just wanted to keep it lightly informative here. So remember, always stay in your heart. Don't allow fear to control you. Don't allow fear to affect you. Fear is not real. Fear is something that is a parasite, that is a virus that tries to affect you and tries to control you, because it has no connection to source energy. If we don't allow this alien, negative, fake life form, parasitic, whatever it is, to affect us, nothing happens. We remain positive, we remain sovereign, and we remain in our own power. And that's what's most important for you to understand about yourself and about your reality, and how to be in control of all of those things in your life, because you are you. You are most important to yourself. We're mostly self-interested people, yet when you take care of yourself, you take care of others, because you are the outer world also. So that's why I show up and do these things, is to tell you guys to be yourself. Always remember who you are. Always talk highly of yourself when you're speaking to yourself. Never get down on yourself. Understand where other people are, because you understand yourself. And lastly, always love yourself, because you are very low in higher dimensions and way, way, way beyond, further than you can ever imagine. So peace and love. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. I love you.